Hey guys, it's Kevin again. I know I said that I wouldn't be able to do my review for Bates Motel this week, but I actually had some time because there was a class that I had that I wasn't taking, so like there was this. I was able to watch Bates Motel in school today, so I was able to watch it. So yeah, I can review it for you guys, which is great because I really want to review. And this is my review for the season premiere of Bates Motel, Season 3, Episode 1, and Death in the Family. And you know what, guys? This premiere really made me realize how much I miss this show. I mean, wow, this was a great premiere. Really, this was a fantastic premiere. Probably the best premiere Bates Motel has ever done, I have to say. This really just kicked off the season perfectly and really set up the whole idea of what this season's going to be, which is honestly very creepy what this season is going to be. The direction we're headed in, oh my god, I am so hyped for this season, and let's just get into it because it was amazing. So we start off right away, a very creepy scene. We see Norman waking up in bed with Norma, and Norman, of course, is now 18, as we know. Of course, that happened and everything. And if you're, he's now 18, so it's really creepy that this is happening now. And Norman's brother Dylan is waking up, Dylan is waking up Norman, and he finds the two of them together, and he basically tells Norma that an 18-year-old sleeping with his mother is creepy as hell, and I like that he said that because it is creepy. It's not normal for someone to just sleep with their son. I mean, especially when he's 18 and he's a senior in high school. No, it's not. That's not normal, and I like that Dylan told that to her, and she tells him he's overreacting and makes him toast, and once again, she doesn't listen to him because she doesn't really see anything wrong with it. It really does show what eventually is going to happen to Norma and Norman. I mean, their relationship is just so, they're so close, and they're too close, as we see in this episode that they're definitely getting way too close. So Dylan leaves, and Norman then gets a phone call from this lawyer, and he informs her that her own mother died, and he's selling her estate, and she replies she's not interested, thank you for calling, and she doesn't even seem upset about it. Like, she has no reaction whatsoever, and I'm like, okay, she's probably holding it back or something, and I didn't really know if she was, like, holding it back, but she doesn't have a reaction to her mother dying, which is kind of strange, I have to say. So, actually, no, it's not kind of strange. It is strange. So Norma gets Norman ready for school, and it's now his first day of senior year, and he casually mentions the death of her mother. Basically, she mentions it, and she's fine about it. She has no reaction whatsoever. She says, oh, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. She's just like, oh, my mother died. And she has no reaction whatsoever. Like, Norman has no reaction. She has no reaction. So once they arrive at school, Norman says he doesn't want to go in. So Norma literally drags him out of the car in front of the entire school, and that's just, oh my god, that's just like embarrassing. But also the fact that Norman's just doing all of this and acting like a kid is really creepy if you think about it. He really is doing that, playing that part of Anthony Perkins perfectly. I mean, after watching Psycho, I love this show even more because they're doing a fantastic job with transforming him into a psycho. They really are doing a great job with doing that, especially in this episode. You can see, and they did, the season finale, Season 2, they really did a great job with doing that. But I have to say, this episode really convinced me that Freddie Highmore is just perfect as Norman Bates. Because if you guys remember, in Season 1, people were actually complaining about him, but now, no, he is perfect in this role. So later at lunch, Norman's sitting at a completely empty table. And now we do see also Sheriff Romero. People are actually against Sheriff Romero because of what happened with Zach and, shit, what was her name? The girl that, the girl, Zane, and I can't think of her name. You guys know who I'm talking about. That girl that was Zane's brother. Well, because of him killing them, everyone's pretty much against him because they feel he could have done something about it, and, especially because he killed his sister, they definitely feel like he could have done something about it, so pretty much everyone's really against him now. And Dylan runs into Gunnar, who, if you remember, Gunnar was dating Emma, and then he just went away. So Gunnar's back, and we don't exactly know why. They're catching up a little bit, and I was kind of like, okay, why is Gunnar back? So I didn't really know what was going on there, but I thought that was really interesting. So Norman goes to lunch, and he's at lunch, and he's at a completely empty table. No one's listening to him, probably because of what Norma did, but also because they just think he's creepy at this point. And it's kind of interesting. I mean, if you remember in Season 1, he had all these friends, all these people that were talking to him. He was close with Bradley. I mean, his his social status has even changed, and it just shows what's going to end up happening to him. It really is a tragic story, I have to say. I mean, that's something that Bates Motel does very well, is just getting you to care for Norman. Even in Psycho, they did that in a very good way, but I think this show also does that very well, just because of the fact that we know Norman's story now. We know how popular he was, and to see him not be like that anymore, it's just really sad to see. And what's even weirder is what happens next, because the ghost of Miss Watson appears to keep him company. Literally, she's right there. She's like, oh, I'll just sit with you. She's reciting poetry. Her neck opens up, bleeds all over the table, and he takes off. And I pretty much thought that was Norman just visualizing what he did and just feeling so bad, because I think he just has so much bodied up inside of him, so much sadness and so much just so much, I wouldn't say anger, but just so much tension, and he has so much building up inside of him, and it's eating him up. You can tell it's eating him up. It's eating him to the core, and I'm very, very worried about what's going to happen to Norman, I have to say. I mean, we know what the outcome of Norman is going to be, so it's really sad to see, and that whole scene was just, that was crazy what happened there. So Norman comes running through the motel parking lot, and he tells Norma all about what happened to him at lunch, and she holds him, and basically we see this Porsche pull up, and I like that he was honest with Norma about what happened, and you can see that Norma you can see that she really doesn't even know what to do anymore. I mean, yeah, I could see if someone could say Norma's babying him, but in some ways Norma is causing this. In other ways, it's just Norman that's causing this. I mean, we know that he has that problem that he can't control. He has that thing in his subconscious where he will sometimes turn into Norma. And I definitely feel like in this season, that switch is going to turn way on, and it's going to get stuck there. I feel like that's definitely going to happen this season. I mean, we saw it in Season 2, Episode 4. They haven't talked about it since, but that is such a major point in Psycho that they have to revert back to that. They just have to. So this Porsche pulls up, and out hops a young lady in decidedly city girl clothes. I have to say, this girl was very hot, I have to say. I mean, she was hotter than Bradley. She really was. I mean, Bradley was hot, Emma's hot, but this girl is hot. Her name is Annika, and she'll be staying for a couple of nights. Now, I was thinking, okay, why is this reminding me of Psycho? She totally seems like Janet Leigh's character. She totally does, and Norman is looking at her, and you can see that he has some sort of attraction towards her, and she's staying in, like, I think they said room 4 or something like that, and you can see that Norman has this huge interest in her, and he just has this look in his eyes, but I think Norman's honestly worried what's going to happen there. I mean, I honestly thought for a second that something was going to happen between Norman and Annika in this episode, and nothing really does happen between them, except for the ending, which I definitely am going to talk about, but as far as, you know, romance goes, nothing really happens between them. So Dylan's at lunch, and he's perusing barn blueprints, and then we see Romero, and I like what Romero says to him. He approaches him and I have to say, one of the things I was looking forward to the most this season is the team-up of Dylan and Romero, because it seemed like where they were heading in Season 3 was Dylan and Romero working together. Now, we don't exactly see that, but we do see Romero trying to help out Dylan, which I really do like, because Romero is always just looking out for Dylan. He's always looking out for Dylan. He's looking out for Norman as well. It's one of the things I've always loved about Romero, is that he always looks out for people, and he's always really great at that. That's one of the reasons I love Romero's character. So he approached him to discuss the future of the town, and Dylan tells him that he's going straight, meaning he'll grow less pot than he did before and sell it to sick people instead of healthy people, which I think makes sense, honestly. So if you sell it to sick people, especially people with mental problems, if they take pot, it might actually calm them. I heard for people that are, like, disabled, if they take drugs, it actually does calm them. I know I might sound like an idiot right now, but it probably is the best thing to do. I mean, because when he did it to healthy people, we saw what happened. I mean, Romero doesn't want him to go into another drug business. So Romero issues a thinly veiled threat, but Dylan is deterred from his farmer plans. So you can definitely see that Dylan's trying to turn his life around, especially after all the shit that happened with Zane and everything last year. He's definitely trying to turn his life around, especially because Nick Ford died. I mean, that really just, you can see he's trying to turn things around. So Anika comes to, not Anika, this is not Empire, sorry guys, it looks like Anika, but it's Annika. Annika comes to Norman to complain about a broken light fixture, and he offers to fix it, then volunteers half of his life, and then tells her basically his life story, you know, how he had this relationship with his teacher, and I like that he was honest with her about this. I do feel like a little bit too close, but this whole scene had so much, like, creepiness to it. So many creepy vibes. I think it was just because the way that Freddie Highmore did this scene, and plus we know Psycho, it really does remind you a little bit, not so much that we all go mad sometimes, we don't, not so much that, but just it felt like a scene we'd see in Psycho. It really did. And he asks her why she's in town, and she tells him that she works at parties, and he gets very flustered because of this, and she's like, should I not have said that? And you can see, I mean, we know that when the sexual urge in his mind goes off, he turns into Norma. We know that happens, and we know that something happens to him because, of course, Norma wouldn't want him to, you know, go after these girls and everything, so I was very worried that something bad was going to happen to Annika in this episode, because we know that when he thinks of something sexual, he kills that person, because he did it to Miss Watson, and he might do it to, Annika now. And I really don't want that to, I really did not want that to happen, because Annika is ridiculously hot, and she also is a very good character, in my opinion. However, she is labeled as a recurring character, so that did make me think maybe she won't die, but I don't know. Dylan's driving home listening to the Arctic Monkeys. Now, this I did not know we were going to get this season. I actually really do like this, because I don't think we got enough of this character last season. He notices he's being tailed up by a van and leads the driver into a trap. And the driver turns out to be his dad/uncle, Caleb. Yes, Caleb is back this season, and I love that, because I don't feel we got enough time with Caleb. Caleb was on for 2 episodes last season, and then he just went away. So I'm happy that Caleb is back, and he's actually a main character this season, which I love, because when they introduced Caleb, I'm like, okay, this is going to be such an interesting thing, and then they just dropped it. So you can definitely see in Season 3, they're not going to do that. They're not just going to drop things like they did in Season 2, which was my biggest problem with Season 2 last year, is that they just dropped things and didn't talk about them again. Like, for example, something that would happen in Episode 2, they drop after Episode 3. Something that would happen in Episode 4, they drop after Episode 5. It just seemed like they kept dropping things, and I was sick of it, and I like that this season they're not doing that. Well, it seems like they're not, at least, and I know Bradley's coming back as well, so they really are fixing everything they did last season, which I'm very happy about. Even though last year's finale was amazing, I'm very happy that they are fixing this, because I really did like Caleb's character, because one of the things I like about Caleb's character is that he's not a bad guy. Yes, he did all that stuff to Norma, he raped her and everything, but he wants to give him the money he inherited from his mother, and now that his mother has died, he wants Dylan to get the money, and Dylan refuses, which, I mean, I can understand why Dylan's upset about it. I mean, he really doesn't want anything to do with Caleb, because it just makes him upset, and it makes Norma upset, and he really does not want to tell Norma that Caleb is back, because we know how Norma and Caleb feel about each other, and of course, as we know, you know, Dylan is technically his son, but he's also his nephew. It's really messed up. It's really fucked up, as you guys know, but, you know, basically, I thought that was a very interesting scene. So back at home, Norma and Norman are snuggling in bed. They're watching a movie, and Norma tells Norman that she's decided to allow him to be homeschooled because, you know, it's such an uncomfortable environment for him in high school that it might just be best if she does homeschool him. And I'd have to agree with her on that. I think if she homeschooled him, he would feel a lot more comfortable. You can tell that Norman feels very uncomfortable in this environment. You can tell he really does not fit in with high school kids anymore. So maybe having him homeschool might be the best thing to do. And she also promotes him to be the manager of the motel. Now, when she said that, I'm thinking Psycho reference. All these Psycho references. Because as we know, Norman does become the manager of the motel. The difference is that Norma's alive right now. So all the events that happen in Psycho isn't necessarily going to happen yet, but I kind of feel like the show's going to do stuff a little bit out of order, which I actually kind of like, because it makes the show more unpredictable that way, which I do like. I like when you can have the same story, but, you know, make the details and order them a little bit differently. I think this show is definitely going to do that. I can see that they're going to do that in Season 3, and I think that's what's going to happen here. So she sends him off to his own bed because of what Dylan says, and she doesn't make it seem like a big deal. Like, she just says, I think you should do that. Oh, it's like, well, I mean, it's not normal what you're doing, so, this really does offend him, and you can see why, and she calls out that she loves him, and he responds with, I know, and he's not happy about it. He's pretty pissed at her, so The next morning, Dylan passes Caleb on the side of the road, and his van is broken down, and Dylan tells him to go away. He wants nothing to do with Caleb, and Caleb asks him for a ride to the auto parts store. So on the way, he whines about how his mom is dead, and Dylan and Norma are all the family he's got left, and you really do feel bad for Caleb, and I think that's one of the things they're trying to do this season, is make us feel sympathetic towards Caleb, and I actually do feel bad for him, and I like that they've made him a main character, because now we're going to find out more about Caleb, and I think we're really going to start to see more of what's going on with Caleb, and I think we're really going to get, as I said, more sympathetic towards him, which I'm looking forward to, because all Caleb really wants to do is just have a relationship with Dylan. That's all he wants. He wants to be in Dylan's life. I mean, he's his father. There's been all that lost time. He wants to be in his life. Even if Dylan doesn't want him there, I think that Dylan should at least consider the possibility. Because really, he's not doing anything wrong. I don't think Caleb's really doing anything wrong. He just wants to be in Dylan's life, and Dylan needs to understand that. I don't think Dylan does understand that right now. I don't think he's going to. I think Dylan needs to process some things. Definitely, there's a lot of stuff going on with him that he definitely needs to process, but he needs to realize that he just wants some sort of life. He just wants to be in his life somehow, and I think Dylan just needs to realize that. So Emma was back, and I thought Emma was not going to be in this season, because as we know, Emma quit working at the motel. She was working the motel last season, then she decided to quit the job, so I thought we were not going to see her this season, but we do see her, because Norman tells Emma that he's quitting school and is now the motel manager, and she tells him some very heartbreaking news that her health is failing, and that to me says she's going to die this season. I'm calling it now. Emma's dying this season. I mean, she's dying this season. I'm calling it now. This season looks extremely dark, and I know she's going to die. He invites her to homeschool with him, and also, not only does he invite her to homeschool with him, which she happily does accept, and she says that she's very excited about it, but he also just throws out, let's date. He literally says to her, let's date, and that was pretty crazy when he said that, because I didn't know how she was going to respond, but she is over the moon about it, and one of the things I love about Emma is that she is so innocent and so unaware of what's really going on with Norman. She doesn't realize how fucked up he really is, and how much, I mean, it's going to end up hurting her, when she's going to get hurt very quickly, and you can see in this episode that it's already starting to happen, and I feel really bad for Emma, but, I mean, Emma doesn't realize what's going on with Norman yet, so you really can't blame her. And, I mean, this is something she's wanted for a while, so obviously she wants to date him. I just feel like it's not going to go well for them. Well, I know it's not going to go well for them. Because, I mean, especially because of how Norman is right now, there's no way this is going to go well for them. I'm calling it now. They're going to date for, like, a couple of episodes, and then they're going to break it off. It's not going to be a long thing. They're not going to be together that long because they can't be. I don't think Norman can really handle a relationship right now. I honestly just don't think that he is ready. Not that he's not ready for one, but that he can't have one because of how crazy he is right now. There's no way that this is actually going to work out. I don't think it's going to, but we'll see. So so basically that happened and everything. So Dylan then comes home to Norma, and Norma tells him that her mother died, and I like that Dylan acts surprised, and he acts like he doesn't know, and she says she's fine, but then she gets really upset, and I like that she finally got upset, because again, it shows how different people handle grief, and that's something else this episode showed, is how different people handle grief, and how Norma was handling it, is that she wasn't really showing it, and she finally does show it when she gets really upset about an old hair ribbon of her mother's, and she's crying about it. She's really upset about what happened, and I really did feel bad for Norm because of that. I really did, and it was a really sad scene, definitely. I mean, her mother died, and it really has affected her, so you do really feel bad for her, and I really enjoyed that scene. I thought that was very, very good, and very good acting from Vera Farmiga. She always kills it on the show, and she just never misses a beat. She's always great. So Norman's leaving the motel. He spies on a raccoon going through the garbage. Kind of strange, but he shoots the raccoon away. And then we get what might be one of the most iconic scenes, the most iconic scene in Psycho. We finally get a scene similar to that in Bates Motel. He notices that Annika's bathroom window's open, spies on her shower for a moment, and there he is. It is so much like the original movie. And I have to say, Freddie Highmore did a great job trying to be like Anthony Perkins. He really has a creepiness to him, and he did an amazing job in that scene. I was surprised by how good he really was there. So, but of course, in this life, Norma's still alive. So she actually catches him, drags him home, and scolds him within an inch of his life. You know, she tells him that it's not normal to do this. And I like that she says that, because it's not normal to just spy on people in a motel. And one of the things I like about Norma is that she is aware of how crazy he is. Even though she's very naive about things, she is aware of how crazy he is. And she got him the therapy and everything. She did want to do that, and he passed the polygraph test and everything. But of course, you know, Dylan wanted to get him therapy, but Norma refused. Norma refused to do it, and even though she's so naive, she does know that there is something definitely going on with Norman. And if she is not convinced there's something going on with him, then I don't know what will. So Norman finds her crying. He apologizes. Norma tells him that she's actually crying about her mother and invites him to sleep. Now, he thinks it's because of her, but she says it's because of her mother. Invites him to sleep in her bed because she's so sad. He calls her a silly woman and spoons her, and that was weird. So then we get to the final scene of the episode. We did get one quick thing with Dylan and Caleb. Just Caleb talking about how he wants to be there for Dylan. And I don't know if Dylan's really going to listen to him, but it seems like Dylan is going to sort of listen to him, but we'll see what happens there. So next day at the motel, Norma and Emma are discussing their homeschooling dating future when Annika shows up, and she asks for directions to a restaurant. Norman drops what he's doing and offers to ride with Annika to the restaurant and walk home. Now, Emma's obviously not happy with this, because she really does want to have a relationship with him, but I think she's going to realize that they can't be in a relationship. Norman's too obsessed with these women, and he's going to become way too obsessed to the point where he can't be with anyone. I can see that definitely happening this season. I definitely think Emma's going to end up heartbroken this season. I feel like that's going to happen. I feel so bad for her, but I know that's what's going to happen here. So in the car, Norman asks Annika why she does what she does for a living, and she mentions and I like that we found out more about her here, because she mentions a bad upbringing and explains away sex work as no big deal, and she's fine, and basically she just says that it's no big deal and that's just sex work, and then we see the end of the episode. Now, this was weird. We see Emma closing up for the night. Just after she leaves, Annika's Porsche arrives. Norman gets out of the driver's seat, but Annika's not there. So, I am suspecting right now that Norman killed Annika, because whenever he gets that sexual urge, he kills women. So, I think Annika is dead. If she's not dead, then I think he's going to think about killing her. She's definitely going to die, but either she is dead or she's going to die. I don't know if he did kill her, but if he did, holy shit, this season's gonna be amazing. I'm calling it now, guys. This is gonna be the best season of Bates Motel. I can already tell. I love where this season is going, because it's just showing Norman slowly becoming a psychopath, and we're seeing it more and more this season. Now, let's talk about Norma. Now, Norma needs to realize that there's something wrong with Norman. She needs to get him some sort of therapy. If I recall, Dylan wanted to get him therapy in the finale, but Norma refused to because she wanted to move. So Norma needs to listen to Dylan. She never has listened to Dylan because she's always listened to Norman over Dylan, and she needs to stop doing that, because Dylan does know what he's talking about. He's not stupid. He knows what he's talking about, and Dylan, I think, is going to end up dead as well. I really do. I think a majority of the main cast is going to die this season. I mean, I think Bates Motel is going to run for 4 seasons, and I think the 4th season is just going to be Norman and a bunch of new characters. So, I think this season, pretty much a bunch of people are going to die. Let's talk about Caleb. I really do like where they're heading with Caleb, that they're getting us to care for him, and I personally do care for him. I want him to have a good relationship with Dylan. I want Dylan to listen to him, but is Dylan going to listen to him? Is he going to try to have a relationship with him? I think Dylan is interested, but he just doesn't really know what he should do right now, so we'll see what happens there. Emma is going to end up heartbroken. I feel so bad for her. She needs to realize that she can't have an actual relationship with Norman. There's no way this is actually going to work. But guys, I love where the season is headed. I already absolutely love the season. I can tell it's going to be the best season. It definitely is going to be better than last season. The fact that they have Caleb back, that just tells me that this show is back in gear, and it's on point now. It totally is on point, and I love it. So that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of this premiere of this season. Are you looking forward to this season? Is this season going to be the best season? I think it's going to be better than season 1, definitely. I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for Better Call Saul. Hopefully, I can get that up. I'm going to watch it right now. We'll see if I can get it up. If I don't, I will have it up tonight, but that will be my next review. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.